welcome to the People Forward Leadership Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Carol Parker Walsh. As an expert in transformational leadership and human development, and the creator of People Forward Leadership, I'm here to help you create thriving, engaged teams and unstoppable leaders. In each episode, we'll explore the strategies and insights that will elevate your leadership impact and drive lasting results. Get ready for a transformative journey filled with actionable steps. Let's go. Hello, and welcome to the People Forward Leadership Podcast. You know, when people think about leadership, the first thing that usually comes to mind is leading others. However, effective leadership truly starts from within. That's why today we're diving into an aspect of the first pillar of People Forward Leadership, which is what I call leader awareness or self-leadership. As we explore leader awareness in this episode, you'll learn why it's essential for leading others, practical strategies for uncovering your blind spots, and techniques to manage stress and model self-awareness for your team. But to start that conversation, we'll start with vulnerability and why it's necessary to unlock your leadership potential. So let's dive in. Leader awareness is about gaining a deeper understanding of self, including your values, strengths, gifts, behaviors, and areas for development, especially your blind spots. However, in order to be self-aware, you have to be comfortable with humility and particularly vulnerability. Brené Brown has fundamentally reshaped how we think about leadership by framing vulnerability not as a weakness, but as a core strength that enables leaders to navigate complexity, lead with empathy, and inspire their teams to strive for excellence despite uncertainties. It takes courage to admit that you don't have all the answers, mainly because most leaders believe that knowing everything is a requisite for leadership. Embracing vulnerability means acknowledging your uncertainties and recognizing past mistakes without harsh self-judgment. And this is important because vulnerability requires thought management. And what I mean by that is if you struggle with things like perfectionism, or believe you must always be right, or you believe that being vulnerable means others may take advantage of you, or you believe that being vulnerable isn't a sign of strength, then you'll negatively judge yourself when you make an error and you won't create space for your own development. In fact, because leader awareness may unveil things you don't want to know about yourself, you may even avoid the topic altogether. But vulnerability is not only about a deeper self-awareness, it also means maintaining a sincere desire to learn and grow and acknowledging the need for it. It's a continual journey. In fact, 90% of problem solving comes through awareness and the willingness to learn. Vulnerability is also essential for creating authentic connections because as a leader, when you share your struggles or ask for help or admit you don't have all the answers, you're also modeling authenticity for your peers and your team. And this transparency signals to team members that it's safe to be open, to admit mistakes or take risks and share ideas, which fosters a culture of trust and mutual support. Self-leadership is your internal compass or your GPS, and without it and your willingness to be vulnerable, your leadership risks becoming reactive instead of proactive or thoughtless instead of intentional. But when you value continuous leadership and continuous learning about yourself, you not only grow personally and professionally, but you help those around you do the same. So as you think about vulnerability and authenticity, ask yourself, when faced with a challenge, do I have the humility to admit I don't know everything? And more importantly, am I open to learning from my mistakes? When you check in periodically with a few self-reflective questions like these, you'll help to build a foundation of authentic leadership and self-awareness. Now, other practices you can engage in are reflective journaling. This is actually a pretty powerful practice, and it's one that I admittedly have ignored in the past. I'm sure you've heard this suggested as a strategy, but I wonder if you've ignored it in the same way that I have in the past. The truth is, while self-reflection is crucial for effective leadership, research suggests that many leaders don't engage in it as frequently or deeply as they should. And while some may prioritize it, a significant number of leaders struggle to make it a regular practice. Studies suggest that self-reflection is often overlooked or underutilized, mostly because a large percentage of leaders overestimate their self-awareness, when in fact only a small minority truly possess a deep level of self-awareness. Now admit it. Are you a leader who has overlooked or underutilized self-reflective journaling? If so, no worries. There's always an opportunity to get started. There's always another day. So dedicate a few minutes each day to write down your thoughts. Reflect on questions like, what did I do well? Where did I face challenges? And more importantly, note the moments when you allowed yourself to be vulnerable, when you admitted uncertainty or learned from a mistake. How did it feel? How were you able to do it? What were your thoughts around it? How did it challenge any preconceived beliefs or notions around what it means to be vulnerable? This simple practice can reveal patterns in your behavior and help you understand your natural pre-programmed and learned reactions to things that are happening around you. Now, another tool you can use is a 360 feedback. Now, you don't have to engage in a formal process to get the feedback that you need. You can simply solicit honest feedback from peers, mentors, and even your team on areas you've already identified for growth. This feedback can be incredibly eye-opening, shining a light on both your strengths and blind spots that you can't see on your own. In fact, creating a feedback loop culture can make this feel like common practice. But remember to engage in that thought management that we talked about, so you can embrace any feedback you receive with vulnerability, knowing it's also an opportunity to improve rather than taking it as a critique of your worth. Creating a practice of mindfulness is another strategy that can be really helpful in not only managing stress, but gaining a deeper awareness of self. The National Wellness Institute defines mindfulness as a conscious, self-directed, and evolving process of achieving full potential. And the skills of mindfulness, as they outline them, require presence, or the ability to attend to the here and now, attention, which means focusing with intention, attitude, meaning developing qualities of non-judgment, curiosity, and kindness to others and to self, and emotional regulation, the ability to manage your emotions and not be triggered by external things or people around you, which admittedly, for a lot of people, it is a very challenging thing to do. Most of my coaching practice centers around emotional regulation. As a leadership coach and business owner, I recently took an advanced class on mindfulness because I needed to create more moments of quiet and peace in my day for my own physical health and well-being. Now, I have to admit it was initially challenging because I don't do well with stillness or being present. My mind is always racing, thinking about what do I have to do next. But after I examined the barriers that have prevented me from forming a practice of mindfulness and really thought through how to overcome those barriers, I was able to figure out ways to be more present and to be more intentional in the moment. Mindfulness helps to prevent stress and burnout, and I can attest to that personally because after I've created this practice, my level of stress and burnout and the racingness that I had in my mind has slowed down considerably. Practices like meditation or reading or deep breathing exercises or even taking short walks can help you develop a practice of mindfulness while also managing stress, remaining present, regulating your emotions, and limiting overwhelm. And you'll be surprised how developing mindfulness will support not only your resilience, but set a powerful example for your team, particularly in times of uncertainty. This is so critical, and we live in a time of uncertainty and chaos. So having a mindfulness practice can not only situate you to have more calm, give you more self-awareness, but can also make you a much more effective leader. These practices are really designed to help you become more self-aware so that you can be honest with yourself about what's working and what isn't. And with that knowledge, you'll hopefully fuel your desire to learn and grow. Now, I also want to say something about assessments as a tool for deeper self-awareness. Some people love them, and others believe they're a waste of time. And as a leader, you've probably taken a few over the years. But how much have you leveraged them to support your personal growth? And did you understand how to efficiently use them in every aspect of your leadership development? Probably not. And honestly, in my experience, I've worked with leaders who have taken a lot of assessments as if they were collectibles. But when asked how they've incorporated them into their day-to-day operations, they often don't have a good answer. Now, one of my favorite assessments is the Maxwell DISC behavioral analysis. And now there are several different types of DISC assessments out there, but this is the only one that provides information about your behaviors at 3 core levels: natural, adaptive, and applied. In addition, it gives you an in-depth analysis of your behavioral, work, strengths, and communication styles. As a student of Jungian psychology during my doctoral studies, I'm quite familiar with the theory behind most personality and behavioral assessments and how to use them properly. But I found this one so effective that I got certified in the method last year. Many assessments out there are based on Carl Jung's work, who was a psychoanalyst studying the unconscious, but DISC was actually designed by William Marston, who was a behaviorist psychologist and studied normal human emotions. And as a side note, he also created the lie detector and the comic Wonder Woman. Now, for those who aren't familiar with DISC, it's a model that categorizes behaviors into 4 main styles: dominance, influence, steadiness, and compliant. And using DISC can help you understand your own communication style and how you lead and interact with others. For example, if you're a high D, you might be decisive and direct. And if you lean more toward influence, you likely thrive on interpersonal relationships and enthusiasm. By understanding your DISC profile, you can gain critical insights into your strengths and the areas where you might need to adapt, especially when working with a diverse multi-generational team. Now, the beauty of DISC is that it encourages you to be vulnerable by acknowledging that no one style is perfect. It's an invitation to recognize that while you have natural strengths, you also have opportunities for growth. And this self-awareness lays the groundwork for a leadership style that is both effective and empathetic. So hopefully, in this episode, you've gained some insight on the importance of leader awareness and why it's instrumental to becoming an effective people-forward leader. I've also supplied you with a few strategies and tools that can help in this effort. But before we wrap up, I want to give you a simple exercise that incorporates much of what I talked about in this episode to increase your self-awareness and vulnerability. At the end of each day, I want you to carve out just 5 minutes in a quiet space. Then reflect on one specific moment when you allowed yourself to be vulnerable. This could be a time when you admitted you didn't know the answer, or when you learned from a mistake, or when you sought feedback from someone else. Then write down what you learned from that experience and one small change you'll make tomorrow. Now, this may take more than 5 minutes, but really, I don't want this to be a long practice. I just want it to be something simple that you can ask yourself and reflect on, but most importantly, write it down. We too often try to process in our brain, and our brain is already processing 60,000 other things. So to think that you're going to retain this for you to be able to make the one small change in the next day is near impossible. Because as soon as you get home or as soon as you break out of that quiet space, you're going to go on to the next thing. So try to have the time to reflect and to write so that you can imprint upon yourself what it is you need to do for the next day. Then the next day, reflect on, were you successful in making that change? And then why not? If you continue this practice on a day-to-day basis, you'll not only grow in vulnerability, but you'll also grow in your level of awareness of self. Now, I would also consider taking the Maxwell DISC assessment, even if you've already taken a different type of DISC assessment in the past. Most likely you don't remember how you scored, or you haven't incorporated the findings. So this is a good time to start over and take a fresh assessment. Of course, we can help you with that, so just reach out to us. I'll leave the information in the show notes. We're here to support you in building a self-aware leadership compass that will position you for today's challenges while preparing you for the future of work. Remember, self-leadership is the foundation upon which a resilient, empathetic team culture is built. And when you invest in understanding yourself, embracing your vulnerability, authenticity, and engage in continuous learning, you'll naturally set a positive example for your team. Your commitment to your own personal growth creates a ripple effect, fostering trust, innovation, and a strong people-first culture. At our firm, Carol Parker Walsh Consulting Group, we're dedicated to nurturing people-forward leadership. And we offer personalized coaching, tailored training programs, and comprehensive 360 feedback systems designed to help you uncover your unique leadership style and drive meaningful change within your organization. And if you're ready to take that next step, just reach out to us and let's start the process together. Thank you so much for tuning into this episode of the People Forward Leadership Podcast. If you found today's discussion valuable, please subscribe and leave a review and share it with fellow leaders. Until next time, keep leading with authenticity, embrace vulnerability, and always stay people forward. Thanks for tuning in to the People Forward Leadership Podcast. If you're ready to implement the insights and strategies shared in today's episode, schedule a call with our team to explore how we can help you drive talent retention, boost engagement, and develop extraordinary people-forward leaders in your organization. Plus, be sure to visit our website to access additional resources that will support your growth goals. Until next time, keep leading your people with purpose and confidence. And remember, when your people thrive, organizational success is inevitable.